G'day everyone, thanks for joining early on time. We'll start in a second. G'day everyone, and thank you for joining our first half 2026 release webinar for SuccessFactors. I believe this is our 6th round coming, and it's growing with popularity each time. So thanks to those who join year after year. I can see the names, a few familiar faces rolling in to the webinar now. So thanks for joining again. For those that joined our on-site community events in the second half of last year, we expanded the release notes to talk about analytics and adoption. We had a sommelier to facilitate I would say, a challenging wine tasting to finish off the day. But for the first half, we brought it back to online. But if you are keen to meet in person, keep an eye out for our second half community events in the second half. My name's Mick Scullin. I run the practice for our workforce and spend management practice here in ANZ. I'm also known as the person who has raised the heart rate of a few of my team members leading into this webinar. But for all of you online, today I will be your host. If you allow me just to set the scene a little bit for the first half and the webinar, this curve you see on the screen, it represents the rate of change hitting HR or your organisation either yesterday, today or soon. Now, I recognise you would have likely heard this before, but today's rate of innovation is the fastest we've ever moved and it's the slowest we'll ever go. And we're certainly not on the bleeding edge. As we're experiencing, this curve does not stop. Our observation has been, it is like the risk really isn't about keeping up, it's about the quietly falling behind that is what erodes our relevance. Traditionally, most organisations responded with big projects and software was seen as the catalyst to close the gap. Big budgets, big disruption, and also the unfortunate truth was the market was paid to accommodate, not to challenge. So we got heavy configuration, slow innovation, low adoption, and left with cloud that behaved like on-prem. And this pain is real, right? On the floor, I hear from HR, IT, customers, managers, there's a general sense of being overwhelmed. Burnout is humming around, changes are expensive, upgrades are distracting. I understand it's all very exhausting. And paradoxically, after all the effort, it feels like you end up further behind. The organisations that do stay close to the curve do things differently. They deliberately revisit the status quo. They move faster and safer through governed change. They actually use what they've already paid for. And that's the difference between chasing the curve and staying with it. So with this release, it's not about more functionality. You don't need more technology. This is not a reason to start something new. And it's definitely not about chasing the next big project. We want you to look at it as an opportunity to stop doing the wrong things, to slow the gap between where you are and where the curve already is. So take a moment now. For those that like to practice mindfulness, set your intention for this release, for this hour that you've invested, but also the release that we're engaging in now. And have a think about how is this release being treated compared to the previous ones. What is different this time? What is the mandate? What is the cadence shift you're looking for? And help yourself fill in the blanks here. For this release, what is a good outcome for you? Do you want to accelerate? Do you want to improve? Do you want to pivot, grow, maybe slow your stakeholders' appetite to do these following things? Now, before we get started, there are, of course, a couple of common housekeeping items. The webinar is being recorded, so everyone who has registered to this session will receive the recording and the deck afterwards. Everyone has been muted, and instead you are welcome to use the chat for any comments or questions. Please keep them coming thick and fast, no matter how small or how big. We may have time to answer the quick questions at the end, but going by our dress rehearsal a couple of hours ago, we are going to be tight for time. So please give us all your questions and we'll distribute it as part of the pack along with the recording. And last, your feedback is always highly appreciated. This is meant to be for you. These sessions are intended to be a starting point, a high-level complement to your actual process. So if there's anything you would like to hear more about in the future session or anything we can improve on the next time, please let us know. With that said, I'd like to introduce our presenters. And a quick thanks to the team here for the effort they have put into it. Thank you to the four of you. If you can come off camera, say good day. So one, we can see you, and also secondly, we can do a mic check. So we've got Maple Lang. She's our consultant specializing in EC, ECP, platform and time, currently knee-deep in our end-of-year payroll upgrades and platform optimization at the moment. Welcome, Maple.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session today. It's good to
we have
see you.
Charlotte. Charlotte's our resident payroll consultant, and many of you are working with her on Payday Super. Hey, Charlotte.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Eligen. Eligen's our Jill of all trades. She has spent time on both the consulting side and on the client side, but more recently focusing on onboarding and performance and goals. Hey, Eligen.
Hi. Good afternoon, everybody.
And we've got Steve. Steve's our data and analytics guru, bringing us the latest around the hot topic of people intelligence. Kia ora, Steve.
Thanks, Mick, and hi to everyone out there. Thank you.
Now, behind the five of us on the call and the wider practice that I represent, globally, we're plugged into a centre of excellence that actively tries and tests at scale across the entire HR solution. So it's not just ring-fenced to SuccessFactors, but industry innovation, sort of the stuff that you see in industry reports like the Gartner Hype Cycle, for example. So our recommendations, they're not only tested and validated across industries, regions, and employer groups. We bring it into a local context for our clients to take advantage of any productivity gains that we're seeing at a global level. So now on to the main show. Maple.
Thanks, Mick. So in the next 10 minutes, I will walk us through some of the highlights from this release across Platform and Employee Central. I have grouped them into 3 different themes. That is the changes that strengthen platform governance and security. The next one is modernization of the platform that is immediately noticeable. And finally, the update that enables scalable integrations and extensibility of SuccessFactors. Please. All right, so I'll kick this off with governance and security. SAP is tightening platform governance, and what that means is fewer legacy paths, stricter defaults, and better traceability when changes occur. So a key measure for that is the continued push to IaaS. For customers that need more motivation, one of the items in this release is the simplification of IaaS upgrade. SAP does have a hard stop for basic authentication by November 2026. So customers do need to migrate to IaaS. If you haven't started, do reach out to us if you need guidance doing so. Next one, audit visibility is also improving. It is now easier to see what changed, by who and when, which is important for your organization's security and compliance. To the last point, SAP continues to shift provisioning settings to Admin Center. And what this means is the reduced reliance on legacy admin processes, giving ownership and flexibility back to customers. Next, please. Now, my personal highlight for this release is the Release Center. So every release cycle, SAP drops over hundreds of changes into the system. And now, that release work no longer have to live in spreadsheets or your email inboxes. The Release Center is tenant aware, and what that means is when you open it up, it is automatically filtered to modules that are enabled in your system. It also calculates an impact score to help you prioritize the release items. Last but not least, it also comes with collaborative features where you can assign ownership of articles to your colleagues, track the statuses, and also add individual notes and comments to each item. So hopefully with the release of this feature, your team can now divide and conquer releases without over-engineering it. It is worthwhile taking time to test this feature and have conversations on how your team can leverage and incorporate this in your release cycle process moving forward.
Beautiful. So Maple, just a quick, your point of view of what do you think this will mean for the partner, your current partner, and the client dynamic?
Well, with each release cycle, there's a lot of work that comes with it. And with only about 6 weeks to get them done, the release center really doesn't change that fact. So that's why it's important for clients to treat your AMS partner as an extension of your team, because you really can use all the extra hands you can get. So sit down together and agree on the best way for you to work as one team and get the best result for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next theme here is the user experience. So what employees will immediately notice with this drop? SAP is aligning the user experience such that web and mobile are no longer treated or feel like two separate products. The latest homepage ties up user experience across all SuccessFactors modules. And on the homepage, communication now lands better because messages and banners appear in a more predictable place. The features are by no means flashy, but these are the kind of improvements that quietly reduce everyday frictions. In the next item, mobile activation is now simpler, making it easier to log in. So that means fewer users getting stuck during the first login and fewer questions to HR or IT. And the third one here on the list is enhanced search functionality across the platform. And one example is the multi-keyword search. So if you wanted to look up an inactive employee, and for example, their name is John, you search John inactive, and it actually gives you all the Johns in the system that are inactive. So I think this is a great feature that gives you some benefits in your day-to-day use. Next, please. With the latest homepage, the personalized quick links is actually one of my favorites that I've adopted almost immediately. And I believe that other regular users of SuccessFactors will also appreciate this feature as much as I do, because now from the moment I log in, I can navigate to my favorite page in a single click instead of 2 or 3 clicks. So the practical implication of the latest homepage isn't actually a technical one. It is more about adoption and communication. So if the UI changes without warning, users now ask, hey, where did my stuff go? Or where are my links? And that's what creates noise, not because the new experience is worse, but because they weren't prepared for it. So the advice here is to treat this as a light change management topic, review what you display on the homepage, what the employees rely on daily, and just make sure that you communicate the change to your users ahead of go live. Something like a short, this is where to find things now, message really goes a long way. Now, on the topic of people profile, SAP is heavily invested in this as part of their roadmap to uplift and modernize the platform UI. This slide shows us the journey that SAP has brought us on so far, from the profile preview and spotlight becoming universal. Now in 1H 2026, we are at a place where the latest full profile becomes default, signaling the end of reliance on the legacy experience. So with the full profile view becoming universal, SAP continues to bring enhancements to the people profile suite. Now, I won't go into those individual updates today, but perhaps after this session, you can try out the Release Center on your own SuccessFactors platform to review articles on this release that relate to the people profile as a start. Now, if the latest people profile is being enabled for you for the first time this release, our advice is simple and practical. First, try not to focus on the details of each enhancement, because the biggest lessons when the profile preview and spotlight was released is that change like this tends to expose permission designs in real life. So the things that managers can see, employees can see, which profile elements are actually used day to day. The risk for you here isn't actually the UI change itself, but the permissions and user readiness. So start from the basics, review your permissions for sensitive employee information, especially for managers and broad populations. Next part here is you want to test key personas. So proxy as an employee, manager, HR admin, see what changes and what questions it might trigger. And then lastly, prepare short user comms and internal guidance. And if you do those three things, the move to the latest profile becomes a more controlled transition instead of a surprise for everyone. Now, the last theme for my presentation today is the integrations and extensibility of the platform. This most exciting one for me from a technology perspective is the introduction of UI integration cards. It is a game changer for platform extensibility in that it allows you to embed real-time external data directly in SuccessFactors. Now, to illustrate this part with a business case, say the HR team has requested for the ability to access or store certain information about employees within SuccessFactors, as these are information that are necessary to employee lifecycle process. Now, their justification is, hey, I need visibility on employee IT assets within SuccessFactors so that when they leave the organization, we can easily track the returning of company devices, so their laptops, mobiles, what have you. Now, the other side of the argument that I've seen is that SuccessFactors at the end of the day is a HR information system. It is not an asset management software, which is fair. So with the UI integration card, instead of storing non-HR data in SuccessFactors, you can display information like IT assets on the employee profile. This extensibility is not just limited to the full profile. It is also available on the Spotlight and even the latest homepage. So this concludes my platform and EC overview. I will now give the floor to my colleague Charlotte to walk you through the release for Employee Central Payroll. Thanks, everyone.
Charlotte, just before you jump in, maybe you can take this one offline, but Mahanti has sent out a question around your recommendation or our recommendation on adopting the edit in history component for people profile. So there's a question waiting for you there. Charlotte, on to you.
Yeah, thanks, Maple and Nick. That was very insightful. So before we start, quick show of hands. Where are my payroll fellas? Drop a reaction and let us know that you're with us, please. Awesome. It's great to see you all here.
Well
so
represented.
the 1H 2026 release introduces 14 new features for Employee Center Payroll. But don't worry, we're not going to covering all of them today. I will focus only on what actually matters for Australia and New Zealand. No release, no reading, no deep technical dives, just what it means for the business. So first up, we have the InfoType 10 extensibility. This is probably one of the quieter but most important changes. You can now replicate Employee Central custom fields to InfoType 0 using a standard configuration instead of relying on custom baddies. For those who may not be familiar, a custom baddie is like a plugin for SAP. It lets you add your own rules without changing the core system. However, implementing it does require technical or coding expertise. If you're on HCM for SAP S/4HANA, this is a big deal because the old InfoType 0 baddie is technically unsupported and often required exceptions. This update removes that dependency completely. The second is the Payroll Control Center enhancements. I would say most of the value in this release is in this piece, and it's all about governance without extra effort. Here we can see 5 new features. You can now archive the activity list audit trail. That means you still have traceability, but without keeping everything live forever. This is especially useful if audits are part of your normal rhythm, not just a once-a-year event. Regarding access controls, there's now a role-based permission for the Manage Off-Cycle Payrolls app. This bakes governance into the system design, so access aligns much better with how payroll teams actually operate. The next enhancement is one of my personal favorite, and we all know employee data change during payroll due to several reasons like employee transfers, termination, and data corrections. Historically, those changes could throw payroll activities out of sync. With this release, Managed Payroll Activities now actively monitors master data changes and automatically updates employee selections. Just imagine a payroll work list stays accurate even while things are changing in real time, less manual checking, less micro heart attack moments like, did we miss something? Did we miss someone? And fewer late surprises. The next exciting news is that there's a new app called Activity Audit Trail that brings log, steps, and alerts together in one place. Instead of jumping across different screens, you get a clearer operational story. This has massively reduced the effort needed to respond to audits or internal reviews. Finally, there's a new settings that forces payroll activity changes to be linked to a transport request. For organizations with strong governance requirements, this ensures payroll changes are visible, documented, and defensible. No more questions like who changed this and when. The third enhancement is gender field replication. So gender fields, male and female, now replicate correctly for all countries, even if they're not mapped in the SAP standard table. Previously, this often means maintaining gender in two places, which is frustrating and increases the risk of error. This update reduces manual effort and improves consistency. Although it's worth mentioning that it's enabled automatically, so it's worth a quick review in your system to make sure it's working as expected. Okay, we're halfway through. I hope you're still with me. So this next two features give payroll teams more breathing room when it comes to user identities. User IDs can now be generated directly from the external name in IAS instead of being tied to employee replication. This aligns with what Maple mentioned earlier, standardized sign-in and moving away from legacy access models. It practically means clearer access governance and fewer exceptions when HR and IT timing don't perfectly align. Along the same line, next slides, please. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're on the right slide. Along the same line, global user ID are now supported for SAML authentication. If you're modernizing or simplifying a complex landscape, this is a small but important step towards more standard, scalable identity management. Finally, we have a New Zealand localized enhancement. Two KiwiSaver onboarding fields now replicate directly into ECP. Captured once during onboarding, no manual bridging required, simple but very effective. Then we have the workforce management release. If there's one area that constantly causes payroll pain in Australia, it's how attendance, absences, and breaks collide in real life. We know in many environments, this collision are usually handled manually, admin fixing overlaps, correcting double deducted breaks, and resolving edge case after the fact. We can see this release materially improves this. Collision handling between absences and attendances is now more intelligent, and dynamic breaks ensure partial day absences don't result in breaks being deducted twice. You can imagine the business impact is simple but significant. Fewer payroll errors, fewer employee disputes, and far less admin work. Our recommendation is to prioritize these changes early because this is where the risk and effort compounds fast. especially when payroll and compliance teams are already stretched. The second major focus area in this release is time valuation. This is crucial for Australian clients with complex rosters, shift premiums, and award-driven pay rules. Historically, time valuation often requires workarounds to handle things like night shifts, cross-day work, or protected pay scenarios. That complexity increases the risk of under or overpayment, and it pushes corrections downstream into payroll teams. This release enhances valuation precision by clearing start and end times and by strengthening pay protection logic. Furthermore, this data are now carried through into InfoType 2010 in SAP payroll. So our consulting lens here is very important. These are not just technical tweaks. They remove silent payroll risk and reduce dependency on manual fixes. Our advice on this is to treat time valuation changes as governance level decision. Prioritize alongside payroll accuracy and compliance, especially given everything else you're managing right now. Now, before I finish, let's briefly talk about Payday Super. To make sure you're still with me and still awake, please drop one word in the chat that best describes how you feel about Payday Super change. Let's see what we got. Oh, everyone's full asleep now. All right, functionally ready. I like that, very confident. Confusing, that is completely normal. So if you're unsure, if you're not confident, you're confused, it's normal, you're not alone. NTT Data is supporting Australian organization by assessing current payroll and super processes, identifying gaps, and implementing the changes needed to stay compliant. This is very much a journey, and you don't have to do it alone. Additionally, besides the Payday Super changes, payroll legislation is constantly evolving, and as regulations change, SAP releases support packs throughout the year to remain compliant. As NTT Data, we run an annual activity to help our clients apply the latest support packs, ensure their payroll systems remain compliant, stable, and up-to-date. So if you would like to learn more about the service we offer, feel free to reach out anytime. I'll now hand it over to Elegant to talk through onboarding and performance and goals.
Thank you, Charlotte. Hello again, I'm Elegant, and I'm excited to share the onboarding and performance goal management release highlight. There are three key themes for the first half of 2026: better visibility, improved traceability, and simple, less administrative effort across onboarding, internal hire, and offboarding. As you know that in the past, the employee profile in the onboarding dashboard always show a single status indicator, which is the onboarding new hire status, which is often cause confusion, especially when there is a need to update the data. With the new people profile homepage, users now get much clearer visibility into a new hire is in the onboarding process. You can easily see the status before and after manage pending hire, if the onboarding is cancelled, and once the new hire is converted to an employee. This makes much easier to track progress, complete tasks on time, and avoid unnecessary confusion. The next enhancement, it is a new task management framework. It is actually consolidate onboarding tasks into a single dashboard. This reduces complexity, standardize how tasks are displayed, and create a more unified onboarding experience overall. I am actually thrilled with this enhancement, as previously, if you want to check the status of new hire, you have to open each profile, review the task one by one. With the new task on the task dashboard, everything's visible in one page. What I really like about it is the ability to filter tasks by due date. Using a from and to arrange, it makes easier to prioritize work and stay on the top of upcoming or overdue tasks. The next one is the data correction. Data correction is often mean restarting the entire onboarding process, which could easily lead to the document version issue. Now we can set restart from complete e-signature step and can be reassigned without starting onboarding from scratch, keeping a clean audit trail and avoid a lot of unnecessary rework. In my opinion, the result is pretty straightforward. It saves time and effort, support quick resigning when changes are needed, and help to ensure the data stay accurate. Next slide. You can now use pre-derived or predefined custom task template to create tasks for onboarding and offboarding. SAP has increased the limit so you can activate to 500 custom task template, which giving you a lot of more flexibility. The custom tasks work just like other MDF object. We know that actually it is not a very straightforward when we actually do the configuration in NDF project. But with this predefined custom task, it really make administration much cleaner and easier. What valuable here is the onboarding tasks are now built on the reputable template. That is a big plus for audit readiness. Tasks are easier to manage and fully reportable. Next slide is the final call for onboarding 1.0 user. As you know that onboarding 1.0 will be turned off on the 14th of May, but I believe that you are actually ahead with getting ready. However, if you have not started prepare, this is the final call for an action, but do reach out if you need help. We are here to support you. Now I'm jump into the performance and goal management release highlight. In this release, SAP has introduced a new experience for performance management form. It is now more compact and flexible, making it easier for user to focus on what really matters during performance review. This screen is a previous performance management form. As you see that the performance tab or roadmap will always show at the top, which could be a bit busier. Next, the new performance form in the system highlighted only the current step. So user can easily see where they are in the process. If they want to view the full roadmap, they can simply click the current step and it will open on the right-hand side. This gives the page much more cleaner layout. It's more intuitive. That's how I see it actually. Easy to navigate as well and reduce noise. It's actually making the form easier to work through between manager and the employee. The next enhancement is on the performance management goal page as well. As you know that in previous version, users have to expand the side panel to perform tasks like edit, remove goal, and provide comment. Now you can perform all these actions in single one page. One improvement worth calling out is how the system now handles error alert in the item level. In previous experience, user could not easily tell from the main screen whether all requirements for all goal, skill, competency were completed. To check, they have to open each panel and rely on the validation message at the bottom of the form, which was not always intuitive. In the last session, this has been significantly improved. After saving the form, user can now see inline alert icon directly against each item that require for action. So for example, if there's a mandatory field is missing or if minimum and maximum character limit have not been met. This makes it much easier for user to immediately identify what still need attention during the review without having to search through panel or validation dialog. Overall, it's create a smoother experience and help to ensure forms are complete accurately and efficiently. The next one is the enhancement continuous feedback experience. It is been improved as well. It gives more flexibility and providing more user-friendly experience. There are more options for giving feedback, which making it easier for feedback provider to share clearly and more meaningful input. For example, people selection is now streamlined with smart suggestion by default and the option to search across all permitted users when needed. User can also add more context through a new topic description field, allow more meaningful and actionable feedback conversation. In addition, editing feedback question is now more intuitive with direct text editing, clear delete option as well, which remove unnecessary steps. The next enhancement is redesign the continuous performance meetings page, which help to support more focused and meaningful conversation. Meetings are now clearly structured into an agenda view and a view of activities since the last meeting. It helps manager and employee to stay aligned without scrolling through everything at once. So everything is actually in one page. Next is there is also an option to configure a certain goal state so they do not generate card on the home page. Previously, every goal step of state automatically create a card, which was not always useful. Now, if you have a state like, for example, cancel or postpone, where there is no action required from the manager and employee, you can just simplify configure those so no card is shown in the home page. This helps to keep the home page cleaner and more relevant, so user can see card that actually need action. And my last final update is I would like to highlight is the job profile builder. SAP now support multi-level job architecture, meaning we can create sub-family within job family. This gives organization more flexibility when design and scaling the job architecture. That's all for me. I hope that you have enjoyed and have fun with the new release. I'm now hand over to Mick.
Thanks, Eligen. And that hiding of the job, the homepage card, that's a small win. Everyone always talks about stripping it right back for the user experience. So that's a good one. A couple of questions waiting for you in the chat there, Eligen, if you can answer now, or we can take it offline. And please keep them coming. What we can't answer today, we'll consolidate, and we'll also bring in the questions from our other releases that we've been doing across the world. So I've got the Learning and Talent Intelligence Hub. It is on purpose that I'm bringing these two together. From a learning perspective, one quick improvement coming with this release is faster access to learning details directly from the employee learning homepage. So when an employee clicks on a course or an assignment, a small panel now opens with the key information they actually need. So the description, the ratings, the progress through a program or curriculum, and any associated skills. So it means employees get context at the point of decision without having to click around. Of course, if they want to go deeper, they can still jump in as they normally would. SAP has also refreshed the program and curriculum pages in this release. Previously, these pages felt a bit dated, old school, with everything presented in one long scroll. They've now been updated to align with the new learning experience using clear information tabs instead. So employees can still easily see their progress, but activities are now collapsed by default and only expanded when clicked. So it also means that the learner can jump off from when they last left off in the program. So overall, this makes programs and curricula much easier to navigate and hopefully far more likely to be used and completed moving forward. There's also some good helpful enhancements for managers as well in this release. So if you imagine a people leader juggling day-to-day work, learning approvals, HR conversations, now the actions they need sit directly in their team view. So manager roles like primary manager, alternate manager, or HRBPs are clearly visible instead of hidden in a drop-down, and making it much easier to switch context and act quickly. SAP has also tightened up the task observations. For example, if an employee needs a manager-led culture or feedback conversation, the system can now enforce that the observer is the primary manager. So there's no confusion, there's no workarounds, and it's clearer accountability. It's a small change, but it does remove that friction exactly where managers are feeling it most in this process. I'll switch over to Talent Intelligence Hub. An interesting side note, what we've been observing, and probably SAP themselves as well, we thought Talent Intelligence Hub would have taken off last year. We have implemented it a few times, but still the lion's share is still remains in EC, ECP, and naturally onboarding with the degradation there. So I'm hoping to see what 2026 brings, but I think this release is a good step in the right direction. I wanted to land this release in the context of a hospitality industry or a hotel, retail for that matter, that runs heavy compliance, mandatory compliance training every year. Thinking about RSA, RSG, food safety, work health safety, thousands of completions, but still no clear view of the skills across venues. In learning, I create a request to infer skills from those existing courses. The AI reads the titles and descriptions and proposes the skills automatically. Now, those skills appear in Talent Intelligence Hub under Skill Governance, where they're reviewed and published once. From there, I associate them back to the same courses in learning. So for employees, skills now show up directly against their learning, and so compliance training finally tells them something useful. My key point or action is to put it on your laundry list, that course titles and the descriptions now matter when previously not so much. They're no longer just metadata, but they now power the skills story if that is in your roadmap. So here I'm creating a request to infer skills from the learning items in the learning module. The AI analyzes the course titles and descriptions and proposes the appropriate skills. Those inferred skills appear in Talent Intelligence Hub under governance, skill governance, where I can review the AI generated descriptions and decide which ones to publish. Once published, I go back to learning and associate those skills, including the proficiency levels with each course. So from the learner's perspective, those skills now appear directly against the learning activities. If we stay in Talent Intelligence Hub, there's also a new option that will be useful for many organizations, with the caveat that role-based permissions need to be thought through carefully. Based on the user's access, they can now search for people using the new skill-based directory search. What this enables managers to do is find employees with specific skills and then bring those people together around relevant work, projects, or knowledge sharing opportunities. It makes existing capabilities in the organization far more visible, helping managers identify who has what skills and allocate those resources more effectively. So with this growth portfolio enabled, users with the right permissions can search for employees by skills, by attributes and proficiency levels directly through the enhanced people search experience, improving talent discovery, workforce planning, and internal mobility. Moving into recruiting, this is a lighter release. There's around 13 items here, but there are still a few things worth calling out given everything else that's happening in the market. So for recruitment management, the recruiter experience, this autumn release includes minor but welcome improvements. And importantly, there is no announced sunset date. So our current guidance remains in the 3 to 5 year range, and we can expect continued updates to be and fixes to happen in that meantime. For recruiting marketing, there was only one release item, but the broader news matters more. That Career Site Builder remains the go forward solution, even as customers transition to smart recruiters. That means the work you've already invested into Career Site continues to pay off, with more enhancements expected over time as the two products evolve together. And finally, Smart Recruiters. If there's anyone on today who hasn't heard yet, Smart Recruiters is SAP's new AI native recruiting platform and is expected to replace SuccessFactors recruiting over time. Importantly, clients can transition at your own pace. There's no rush. There's an enabler called dual entitlement, which allows you to run both licenses in parallel. If you'd like more information, just give us a call after this. But as of this release, Smart Recruiters is now included in the release communication cycle. And there's one really important milestone to call out. that hired candidate data now flows from Smart Recruiters into SuccessFactors, either through Onboarding 2.0 or Employee Central. There's also one thing that's worth calling out. According to Smart Recruiters themselves, we're one of the leading partners globally, both in terms of solutions sold and real-world integrations delivered. We've integrated Smart Recruiters and SuccessFactors more than any other partner here in Australia, with a large fuel and retail company being our most recent client. We thought we owe it to you to bring these lessons learned, migration patterns, practical realities of running both platforms side by side into a webinar. So there's a QR code on the top right if you'd like to register if you haven't already done so. And to make this more real, for those that joined me at Luna Park for Smart Recruiters' major event, and you saw the infectious energy of Sam Magison from Smart Recruiters on the panel. He fielded some great questions from you all, so we'll bring to you what's possible, what works, and what to think about when the timing is right for you. So please register and also consider forwarding it to your global process lead for TA, because we'll show you the recruiter experience as well. With that, I'll hand over to the hot topic with Steve on people intelligence.
Yeah, thanks, Mick, and everyone else so far. I just want to briefly talk to everyone today about people intelligence. It's a new concept from SAP, and it's a way that we can sort of leverage your really crucial SAP SuccessFactors HCM data alongside the rest of the data that runs your organization in a unified way. So I just want to introduce the SAP Flywheel. If you've been working in SAP for any sort of time recently, you probably have seen this before. But what I'd like to do is sort of talk about the concepts and how it relates to people intelligence and SuccessFactors inside the organizations. So it's not just a metaphor, it's an actual concept that works within the SAP ecosystem. So downstairs we have in the bottom layer is the apps. So these are what they call the business suite apps on SAP, which SuccessFactors is part of, but there's other SAP solutions such as Concur, Reba, S4 that would fit into there. And then there's also not part of the SAP flywheel, but we can also include non-SAP data as part of this flywheel. On top of that, it's the data. So the idea that the apps provide the data and they put them on a uniform platform that reduces the data silos and allows things for planning, analytics, advanced analytics inside that. And then on top of that is AI. Everyone does AI nowadays, and you've got to be doing it to sort of keep up. And there's a lot of improvements inside the AI, inside SuccessFactors and the rest of SAP. But what it does, and I think Mick touched on it a little bit before, is AI only really works if your data is in a way that it can understand it. So the flywheel helps with semantically structuring your data in a way that when you ask questions to AI bots or you want to do agentic AI, it will understand what's inside it. So that's a bit of introduction to the SAP flywheel and how it would impact people intelligence. So what we have here is the advantage of people intelligence. So it's really faster time to insight. So everything that we're showing you today is a ready to run product out of the box. So that means SAP's delivered these packages all the way from SAP SuccessFactors all the way through the reporting tool that we use, which is called as SAC. They are built on use cases. So they've used their domain knowledge that they've built up over the years to really understand what HR professionals, HRIS consultants want to see, and they use to drive direct business impact. And yeah, as we talked about the slide before, and you probably heard it a lot on a lot of SAP webinars, it's got AI. So AI will work on the data foundations, and it's going to bring in actions right to the user workflows. A good example of a way you can turn insights is you could ask a questions like, what's the composition of my workforce? It's a question, and that will automatically turn it into an analytical question. So how's my workforce distributed across locations? What's the gender makeup of my workforce, etc. So at the moment, what we have inside SuccessFactors is we have organizational reporting, operational reporting. And what that is it's built into SuccessFactors, technically in a product called Embedded SAC. And it's really good for cross-topic reporting. It's visually appealing, but it runs on live transactional data. So it's showing you as is what's happened today. It's included in the SAP SuccessFactors license, and you probably all use it regularly for your operational reporting. So what does people intelligence add on top of it? It's really building a data warehouse, an entire analytic platform that you can use to report on your SuccessFactors data, but also other data that you have. And it will come with pre-built insights. It's all automatically generated. You don't need to hire a team of data engineers or report builders to deploy this. It's all deployed out of the box. It works across the various lines of functional areas inside HR, and there's powerful analytics tools inside it. It does, of course, require extra license, and the license is tied into SuccessFactors. We've got a lot of experience dealing with the licensing, so we can happy to have a chat how it works with you within your organization. Beyond the people analytics, there's also workforce planning is now available inside SAC Cloud for Planning. So traditionally, planning in SAP world was done inside BW, but with BW being sunsetted, the new way to plan inside SAC is SAC Cloud Planning, and that's fully compatible with people intelligence. And these will do things that's useful in an organization like headcount planning, supply planning, forecast planning, and it allows you to work in the same way that financial planning or supply chain planning probably happens in your organization, where you can give it inputs of maybe the price of oil's changing would impact your business operations. Maybe you've got a shutdown coming for a big mining organization. You can forecast what the headcount's going to look like. You might have purchased a new or built a new line of business up. What's it going to look like? Supply of the planning inside that. So in all that planning that you can do outside that, you can feed it back as part of the flywheel into the data, back into SuccessFactors, and help enable your organization. These are what's out of the box, and this will, for everyone that works inside the SuccessFactors world, you'll know these probably better than I do. But these are, as I said, out of the box, install, and you get their full data engineering side of it, the data warehousing side of it, and the reporting side of it as part of the license. So it's all included as part of the one license there. So what does it look like? This is an example of what I call an intelligent app. So on the right-hand side, you'll see what probably looks familiar to you if you've used the embedded SAC inside SuccessFactors, but on the right-hand side is a fully fledged SAC report. And it's just an overview of what you can do. These reports are available across those 11 out-of-the-box areas that we showed before. This is an example of the workforce composition one. So this is what the end user will see. You can see in the box, it's got like charts and about how the organization's structured. But alongside this is multiple tabs. You can really drill down to it, cut and slice it by multiple dimensions and attributes inside it. And you can also bring along your non-SAP data. You might have a third-party timekeeping system. You might want to align it with some other third-party metrics that you get from external suppliers. You can bring it as part of this process and add it and enhance this data as well. It is, as I said, out of the box, and it takes another a separate license to run, but this will all be installed. You don't need a team of data engineers. You don't need report builders to build it. It all comes out of the box as part of this solution, people intelligence solution from SAP.
Is that that's me now, Steve?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you very much. I said at the start of the release, this isn't about more functionality. What we're asking instead is to look at this as an opportunity to stop doing the wrong things and also slow the gap between where you are and where the curve already is. Earlier, we talked about what organizations do to stay close to the change curve, and we explored mindset. We were being deliberate and having the right governance surrounding it. Over the past 3 years, SAP's global data has shown our clients realize their value from SuccessFactors investment. One lagging indicator of this is that we've deployed and our clients have adopted AI and Joule more than any other partner globally. Something we're incredibly proud of ourselves, but also our clients, that they've mobilized to take on the latest efficiency gains. And we're bringing that same approach to ANZ region. So our model is deliberately different to the traditional SAP consulting, with high impact, focused on knowledge transfer, adoption, and fast return on investment. And we're willing to challenge current assumptions. Last year, we're seeing results based on SAP's ANZ 2025 data. We're deploying SuccessFactors around 30% faster than the Australian SI median, which complexity adjusted. And we're also doing it cleanly with zero escalation. So that's the standard we aim to hold. But I guess the focus is that it frees up your time to focus on getting the processes right, handling change, and focusing on adoption there. As we also know that HR doesn't happen in isolation, it sits at the intersection of business pressure, technology change, and people capacity. On one side, there's very real drivers, labour shortages, wage pressures, regulatory burden, ESG expectations, economic uncertainty, None of this is theoretical, right? It's hitting leadership agendas now. On the other side, the platform keeps evolving. I empathize with a lot of you because the underlying SAP tech is constantly changing. There's new functionality, there's AI analytics, UX changes, security shifts, etc. Each release is small, but together they do compound quickly. And most organizations, they don't struggle with having a roadmap. We often hear of laundry lists of things that they want, but we notice that they struggle to keep it alive, sequencing properly and avoiding random acts of configuration. So that's why we talk about a living roadmap, one that balances your business priorities, your external insight, platform innovation, and what the organizations can realistically absorb. So staying close to the curve isn't about moving faster everywhere. It's about choosing what matters when it matters. And our role is to look at this holistically. Every client knows what they have in control and what's on their radar. And when there are blind spots that sit below the surface, our commitment and why companies employ us is to help surface those blind spots and hidden opportunities, drawing on experience at scale, globally and locally. Across a recent client work where we came in as a doctor's second opinion, put it that way, to their current provider, we uncovered about 55 to 60% of the recommendations. They were highlighting challenges that were quietly eroding the value of each enhancement, and it was redirecting the budget unnecessarily to churn. And this brings us back to the core message. You don't need more technology. This is not a reason to start something new. In our QBRs, we regularly call out what's being paid for, but not fully leveraged or not firing as intended. And that's where the opportunity usually is. For example, a lot of you are coming out of the onboarding 2.0, and I know that there's a backlog of things you want to enhance, whether it's cross-boarding, rehire, offboarding, or even integration into ServiceNow, as I know many of you are running. We've got that experience. We are integrating with ServiceNow for asset allocation or IT provisioning, things like that, to enhance the experience. The systems exist, the integration is lagging, so we can help you make the most of what you've currently got. And from there, once we've got that living roadmap, it's about sequencing. So putting this into a mutually agreed roadmap, one that can be paced and combined to reduce cost, benefit from compounding impact, and build towards known outcome. It's not more activity, just clearer outcomes. I say that with a big breath. There's been a lot to cover today. For our clients, we're about to move into our one-to-one client-specific recommendations shaped around their own landscape and roadmap. But there's also opportunities right now for the rest of you that we're not currently engaged with. So coming out of this release and the next, there's things that can help you shorten the gap and stay close to the curve without starting something new. Before anything else, we genuinely welcome your feedback. So we'll drop the survey now. I've mentioned the Smart Recruiters webinar, and thanks for someone who called out that the QR code's not working, but I won't linger more on this one. But one thing we do encourage clients to reflect on is whether your current AMS model is really set up for your next phase, and whether you explored what sits under the tip of this iceberg. Sometimes a second opinion helps, and we've got a 4 to 6 week approach to help you with that. Finally, on people intelligence, we generally are seeing 3 groups based on our last community event as well. Those that are wanting to improve story reports, those that are exploring business data cloud, people intelligence, and those that are ready to deploy. So wherever you sit, we have a proven practical approach. But to get you started with Steve, NTT is offering a complimentary dedicated information session, one-to-one for those that are attending online here today for the HR community. We'll go through a technical demo and also an introduction into our people intelligence fast start. There's also one last thought. We are consistently hearing clients have an SLT mandate to deliver intelligence, not just reports. But it raises a fair question: are our CHROs equipped for those conversations? So if people intelligence is a priority for you, the HR team and your CHRO, we are looking for nominations for a CHRO roundtable where we'll walk through those questions and analyze the real barriers getting in the way. So next steps, you'll meet Will. Will's on the left-hand side. He'll serving coffee at the latest SAP Connect event. We'll be in touch to talk through your plans around people intelligence, smart recruiters, and make the most of what you've already have. And yes, with a little bit of healthy honesty. Q&A. It's been a while since I've looked at the questions here. But I think looking at the time here, we'll collate and we'll make sure that we'll send it as a pack. But if you've got any final questions, put them in the chat now before it closes, and then we'll respond offline. But I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for everyone that's joined today. A lot of information. The recording will be sent alongside the deck itself and also the questions and answers there. So that concludes today. Thanks for joining and have a great afternoon.